from the very beginning, when you keep telling people you're wrong, the response is, "Well, you're toxic. You're toxic. You're a maximalist." That's what people respond because they're being told that they're wrong, over and over again. And so it's hard to be on the side of a Bitcoin, believer.
Bitcoin bull and maximalist Max Keiser gives his Bitcoin prediction in this latest interview. Max has been one of the strongest proponents for Bitcoin, even amidst the largest cryptocurrency struggling to gain bullish momentum. With crypto markets in a state of uncertainty, it's no surprise that Max Keiser would be an avid defender of Bitcoin, even going as far as competing with Michael Saylor on who can grab as much Bitcoin before the next adoption phase. He also believes that as banks and institutions start mining Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, they'll be the official custodians and create a new infrastructure. Let's listen to Max as he gives his prediction for Bitcoin and why he believes the power is shifting from the fiat money world to the Bitcoin world.
What I call the Michael Saylor era, which started about 2 years ago, was really a step up. It was really the beginning of Bitcoin as a serious professional industry, I would say. And so for 8 years though, you had a lot of going on. Michael Saylor kind of kicked off a new era. I call it the Michael Saylor era that we're in now. And I think the next step is going to be, it might be the Janet Yellen era, because Janet Yellen just came out with a statement that was very constructive about Bitcoin, and is talking about it in a way that shows that she actually kind of understands it. So now this might be the new era where we're on the sovereign level, where banks start to really accumulate Bitcoin and start mining Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. So that could be the story of the next 12 months. I would imagine that the institutions and the banks that make their money making loans principally are going to get more involved in this core business that they're in. They're in this core business as more banks become custodians, and that's a fairly recent development, right? Mellon Bank in New York is now a custodian for Bitcoin, and banks have become official custodians of their Bitcoin. So all the infrastructure of the banking is coming to Bitcoin. It allows for them to offer traditional types of products, and there will be competition amongst these banks, and so interest could come down, should come down, and the power is shifting from the fiat money world to the Bitcoin world.
Kaiser goes on to say that corporations are pushing for greater Bitcoin exposure on their balance sheets, and that it will lead to an inevitable domination of the financial world. Over the past 12 years, Kaiser has seen the rejection of the innovation of money, and as one of the early adopters of Bitcoin, he talks about the difficulty for people to change their mind about how they've been taught money.
And the Bitcoiners are starting to have a lot of political clout in Washington. They're having political clout in different countries around the world. They're having clout within corporations that are, pushing for greater Bitcoin exposure on the balance sheet. So Bitcoin is becoming, as we've often said, it's such a perfect asset and such perfect money, and it's so indisputably perfect that its path toward this type of domination of the financial world was inevitable, as everybody says, and so now we're seeing that play out. It comes from the fact that if you've been doing this for almost 12 years, you're starting from a position where literally 100% of the people on planet Earth were against this idea, or hated this idea, or refused to accept this idea, and it's been a struggle to get people to look at this idea for 12 years. So Bitcoin is very, very different in that respect, because if you come up with something like, a better mousetrap, right? The world will be the path to your door. Innovation creates demand and creates all kinds of momentum economically. And we've seen this in many industries, but with Bitcoin, because you bring innovation to money, actually the first response anyone has is to throw up, because you're taking something that they hold dear to their psyche, in their consciousness, and you're saying that's wrong. Everything you've thought about money is actually wrong, and nobody wants to accept that. Nobody wants to deal with that. So from the very beginning, when you keep telling people you're wrong, the response is, "Well, you're toxic. You're toxic. You're a maximalist." That's what people respond because they're being told that they're wrong. Over and over again, and so it's hard to be on the side of a Bitcoin, believer because you're having to. It's like being an exorcist. You show up in the middle of the night and Linda Blair is on the bed trapped in a fiat money devil and they're projectile vomiting everywhere. It's a messy business. The IMF clearly is not doesn't like this, and we just had a story this past week where Bitcoiners were on the New York Post. They had a story that Bitcoiners are basically psychopaths, and the Bitcoin is basically evil. Again, I return to this is the whole history, as the exorcism that we've lived for 12 years, having to deal with this denial by the vast majority of the population who do not want to reconsider or consider that everything they have believed about money is false, and yet that's where we're at. Everything everyone believes about money is false. Even the gold bugs, gold bugs who you would think would be more sympathetic to Bitcoin, most of them are also hate Bitcoin because it challenges everything they believe about gold. So you end up being, if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you're a hated figure because nobody wants to ha- uh, face the fact that they've been dead wrong their whole lives about something very basic like money. And behind that is money. And so when you destroy that model, no one's going to pat you on the back and say, "Thank you for crushing my worldview. Thank you for destroying the paradigms upon which I've based my entire existence." No, they're going to hate you for that. But it doesn't change the fact that Bitcoin's on this unstoppable path, unstoppable vector. And what we say is, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. Just, let it happen. You've been wrong your whole life, but it doesn't mean that you can't start to be right about what's happening.
Max says this is a make or break time for markets around the globe, as the crypto industry at large has too many working parts to be stopped. Although Keiser does have a slightly different opinion than Michael Saylor on government regulation, only time will tell. Keiser isn't surprised that Saylor holds a favorable position with the United States government because Saylor supports the dollar as the world reserve currency. Max doesn't believe government should be involved and says that Bitcoin's longevity is designed to survive without intervention from any governing body. What do you think about Max Keiser's interview? Comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.